Hey guys, and welcome to a new video. Today I want to talk about 5 things in the 3.25 patch notes for the Settlers of Kalguur that I think are a little bit under the radar or not discussed in like all the live streams, or not really in details, and what effect those could have. So I would say let's start right into the action. The first thing that I saw was Battle Mage's Cry. So Battle Mage's Cry no longer grants a buff which boosts critical strike chance and allows attacks to benefit from increases to spell damage, okay? That is like very, very important. Instead, the user nearby allies just have a buff, boost critical strike chance. The thing though is, what does that mean? Chance to allow attacks to benefit from increased spell damage. That basically means that almost all strength stackers are now basically gone, right? If we take a look at one of these like strength stackers, it's usually always the same. They're running Red Blade Banner, played as a Berserk with Iron Fortress, stacking strength to gain the damage from Albaron's Warpath, and so on and so forth. But the important thing here is the Battle Mage's Cry effect on this, together with the Iron Wool Keystone, and getting the maximum power. Warcries have infinite power from the Red Blade Banner. So basically, you have this shield, you Warcry with Battle Mage's Cry, you get this 150% spell damage equals attack damage kind of thingy to convert all these things. So as a strength stacker, you can now scale spell damage out of it, right? This is basically now removed completely. So builds like the strength stacking Reef, or I don't know, Static Strike, Shockwave Strength Stacker, or the Occultist with the Frost Weapon. I don't know what the Frost Breath, I don't know exactly what it was the name of it, but still, all of these builds work the same, but without Battle Mage's Cry, all of them are basically dead. There is only one thing remaining, which is the Kinetic Blast. Now has a 200% effect, increase in reductions to spell damage also applied to take damage from this skill at 200% of their value is now in Kinetic Blast, as well as the, I think, in Power Siphon. So there are ways to get around that, which is basically the Crown of Ice, which is basically doing the same as the Battle Mage's Cry, the 150% increase in reduction stuff. But the thing is, as a strength stacker, you still want to use a rare helmet with a modifier, the elevated Warlord modifier, I think, gain accuracy rating equal to your strength and 1% increased critical strike chance per 10 strength. So if you're missing out on that, you just lose a shit ton of critical strike chance, and that's why people usually don't go Crown of Ice. So you can now roll the Crown of Ice, but it will be a lot weaker. But with the revamped Kinetic Blast, at least the Wonder Strength Stacker is still gonna remain its power in terms of strength stacking. But as I said, a lot of these strength stackers are now completely not working anymore based on the changes of the Battle Mage's Cry. The next thing I want to talk about is Divine Blessing. So Divine Blessing has been removed. For the people that forgot, Divine Blessing is basically a support gem that lets you cast an aura for a certain duration, so you don't have to reserve it, right? So I will just say it as the example of the EK Ignite, where I used that with the Eldritch Battery and having Energy Shield cover your mana, because those Divine Blessing things, they cost a lot of mana, right? Sometimes like 700-800. So it's super easy to use your Energy Shield in form of mana to let those buffs be active. And this will be quite a big of nerf to a lot of builds, and this is a variety of builds, because I know a lot of builds that are using those kind of things. And I'm just gonna stay with the EK Ignite example here. You're losing out on a complete aura here for damage, which will nerf a lot of these builds. There is still one item left that will have the Divine Blessing, and this is going to be the March of the Legion boots, okay? These will still have the only way of getting Divine Blessing, so all the armor stackers are still gonna be very happy to at least have that one to activate their level, I don't know, 100 Grace or something like that, even though Grace and Determination have been buffed, nerfed as well. Good, Divine Blessing gone will be a direct nerf to many builds. Keep that in mind if you plan out your League starter or your mid-league kind of build. The number 3 on the list is Hatred. So Hatred no longer causes you and nearby allies to deal more cold damage. You and nearby allies gain 30% physical damage as extra cold. It's getting up to 39. So basically what that means is Hatred for me is probably the strongest damaging aura in the game. I will compare it now to something like Anger and Wrath, because one is like fire, cold, and lightning, right? So Anger just has flat damage, which is nice to have, but, you know, a more damage multiplier is always better. Wrath, on the other hand, for melee skills, it gives flat lightning damage, which is kind of the same as Anger, just in terms of fire and lightning. But at least for spells, it gives more spell lightning damage, so that is quite nice to have, right? But Hatred, on the other hand, has just generic more cold damage, or at least it had. So a lot of builds are going from either the conversion builds, for example, Eternity Shroud builds, or EK or something like that, right? Where you just take a physical skill and go into lightning conversion, Call of the Brotherhood into cold, and then Cult of Fire support into fire, to gain like a lot of extra damage from sources of non-chaos as extra chaos damage, right? Also, a lot of builds are just naturally going from physical into cold because of Hatred. The Watcher's Eye modifiers are insanely strong, and the more cold damage modifier. Now, it strictly only gives you like up to like whatever, 39% Fizz as extra cold. Means, what about something like a build that is completely frost related? I was just about to say Ice Shot or something, but I think they're also like physical skills converted into cold. But there are pure cold damage skills, which will not even have any benefits of running Hatred, and for that being a 50% aura is, in my opinion, a very, very weird kind of like solution as well for like spells or anything like that, right? So that's gonna be kind of weird if you still want to run Hatred, and it definitely lost the place as the, in my opinion, strongest damage aura in the game. Number 4 on the list is the physical damage taken as, okay? Physical damage from hits take, oh god. So, all these like of things that is like physical damage taken as element, as chaos or something, is by far the strongest way of mitigating physical damage, or even annulling damage, when you say you have like the Incandescent Heart taking elemental damage as chaos damage, and you run CI and those kind of things. The problem here is you have 3 global defenses, right? You have like an energy shield on the top side of your tree, on the witch area. Then you have armor related nodes on the left side, bottom side of the tree for the marauder. And then you have like evasion based on the right side, whether it's going to be like the ranger starting or maybe right side of like duelist and stuff like that. And these are your primary sources. And these days, not running armor at all is kind of like bad, because physical damage is kind of like a real problem in this game, right? But something like a witch, which has like a very, very hard time stacking armor or stacking evasion, even getting like spell suppression or something like that, or even endurance charges now after the revamp, it's going to be very, very rough. So the strongest way of mitigating damage is to convert the incoming damage and then have like 90% maximum resistance or things like that. Because if you have, for example, 100% physical damage taken as element, whether it's fire, chaos, lightning, whatever, then you just don't have to worry about armor, because your armor is basically completely pointless. It's also like the best way of like percentage-wise reducing the incoming physical damage, just because armor just works different than resistance. If I have 75% resistance, fire, for example, and I have 100% physical damage taken as fire, then this physical hit will definitely get mitigated by the full 75% resistance, because this is how resistance works. Armor, on the other hand, works different. Even though if you open your spread, like your character details, and it says you have 90% physical damage mitigation, is basically a lie, because it always depends on how big this one single hit is. And if you have like 30k armor, it's super nice to have against like small and little and many hits. But if you get big hits, then your physical damage mitigation will be like, what, 30%, maybe 40% or something like that. So this is like the difference. But if you convert the damage, it's just the best defensive layer against physical. And a lot of these sources are gone, whether it's the Delve modifiers or the Temple modifiers. All the Watcher's Eye modifiers are gone. For example, the Purity of Elements, physical damage taken as cold, lightning, whatever purity you have, or the generic one for Purity of Elements is also gone. There is also modifiers gone completely. The only thing that is remaining is the, for example, Lightning Coil with the 50% physical damage taken as lightning, as well as the Cloak of Flame with 40%. And you have like a Dawnbreaker shield, which is also like kind of known. So it's not possible anymore to get 100%, but this is also going to be very, very bad for something like a witch character, because energy shield is just not that good compared to like armor or evasion, spell suppression, stuff like that. And the problem will be that with the Determination and Grace nerf for the flat value, which GG states that, hey, that's not a big deal because your armor bases will have a lot more armor to compensate for that. But for example, as a witch character, you're gonna have like very big problems because you need to have hybrid evasion bases to roll spell suppression, just because spell suppression is just generically one of the best defensive mechanics in the game, so you're not gonna have a lot of armor anyways, right? So you basically rely on Determination, Grace, a Jade Flask, and a Granite Flask, to get to like 20-30,000 armor to have at least some form of mitigation. But the best way was to just convert the physical incoming damage into element, which no longer or vastly got removed, same as on the masteries, and so on and so forth. And the last thing that I want to mention is the rage thingy, the rage, what is it, rework. So what does that mean? I personally think that now with the changes, the new Berserk, with having the Warbringer completely changed and the Rage, Rite of Ruin and things like that. So think about it. Rage usually gives you attack speed, attack damage, and movement speed, generically for everybody, right? But Berserk had these like kind of notes to triple those effects and stuff like that, so to make it a lot better, as well as using Berserk. Berserk got completely gutted, the skill gem itself, and no longer provides more damage with attacks. It doesn't give you more attack speed, and you also lose the more movement speed modifier and less damage taken. So basically you can say Berserk just doesn't exist anymore. It does give you 40% increased effect of rage, up to like 60% level 21. But this is like generically now for attack-based builds, because generically Rage now just gives you attack damage, and that's it. There are things where you can change that. Let me go back to the Rage rework. So basically you have on your Berserk, for example, here the Crave of the Slaughter just says every Rage also grants 1% increased attack speed, which was Rage by default. And there is also somewhere a Rage Mastery. Let me see if I can find one of these. Where is the search button? Ah, no help, no support, no. Ah, Rage, something here. Rage Mastery. Can I pick something here? Hello? But yeah, there is a Rage Mastery, which also gives you like 1% movement speed per 5 Rage. So you can kind of get back to the old Rage, but with more and more investment. And I'm wondering how good is the Berserker basically left? Because the Warbringer node, where you actually got a Rage sustain from your Warcries using a Red Blade banner to gain like maximum Rage with one Warcry, is completely gone. I think now you get like what, 5 Rage maximum or something with a full Warcry, which is just absolutely nothing. Then the base value of Rage is lower, means Rage was like 50 at base of default, that you can like then use items to get more Rage, more maximum Rage. Now it's down to 30 and only giving attack damage, while Berserk also got nerfed. So I just want to say that Rage overall, like we used to have it like on almost every build, hey, if you can get in some Rage sustain and throwing in Berserk, it's gonna be really strong for every build. Same as the Rage helmet, Passions, I forgot the name of it, the new helmet that actually gave you cast speed instead of attack speed from range. This is also gone, right? So the Rage mages, caster kind of things. The good thing, the good old Rage sustain with perma Berserk or good Berserk uptime is also like completely gone, and this will also affect a lot of builds. Good, this was my 5 kind of like hidden nerfs in my opinion, because I think they are kind of drastic for a lot of builds, for a lot of variety of builds, affecting a lot of builds in the topside area based on the defensive aspect and stuff, especially when it comes to like Elementalist and so on and so forth. And we're gonna see how this is going to turn out in the upcoming Settlers of Kalguur League. And please let me know in the comments what your biggest losers kind of things or hidden things in the patch notes are, that are maybe a little bit under the radar but will have quite a massive effect in the upcoming leagues. And yeah, thanks for tuning in, thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.